Thanks for joining us on Tandem Radio for a very special segment, By Design, focused on helping you understand how God designed you so that you may be healthy and productive in fulfilling God's purposes in your life for many years to come. Now let's join our host, health expert and public speaker, Dr. James Proodian.
Welcome to By Design. I am Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare and ProodianHealthcare.com, where health literacy is the key to longevity. And as long as the Lord has us here, I want us to feel better, function better, and live as many quality disease-free years as possible. Last show, we basically outlined, or I laid out for you what the premise of the show is about. By Design was written, and if you'd like to read what the intent of By Design is, please go to tandemradio.com, click on the By Design button, and you read a couple of paragraphs on just where man has been credited for so much in terms of its man-made technology and iPads and HD video and such, but we can't lose sight of the fact that it's nothing compared to the design of life. And the design of life starts with systems biology. We start off as 2 cells, we grow to 40 trillion cells strong, and all of those cells require protein, carbohydrates, fat, vitamins, minerals, and water. And last show we outlined the triad of health. The protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water fall under the nutritional circle. And there are 3 circles in the triad. One is nutritional, one is psychological, and one is physical. I think today we're going to take apart a couple of different things. Again, you could submit questions to me through ProodianHealthcare.com, and I will bring them in a couple of shows from now. And I think I'm going to do just a couple of shows of Q&A as if you guys are in the room with me. But I'm going to spend the first few shows just kind of laying out the triad, what it means, and some things that I want you to take away from a literacy perspective in your everyday life as you're running around, doing your thing, raising your children, or whatever it is that your life consists of. We have to look at it that we're all in this together. We're made up of arms and spleens and heads and toes. Every day we got to get up out of bed, we got to move around, we have to eat, and we have to think. And so from a very basic perspective, or what's coined as functional medicine, we have to look at the way God's design has given us the ability to rid itself of toxins. I mean, make no mistake of it that there are toxins coming into us all day, and we have to get rid of those toxins because a buildup of toxins in our body causes disease. If you're taking notes, that's the first part of about 8 or 9 different points that I like to call connect the dots. A clinician, doctor, when you sit with a patient, they're putting the dots together around someone's life. So you don't just look at them, you're a shoulder, or you're a knee, or you're a spleen, or you're a kidney. Our systems are designed to work together. They are whole. So when we look at toxins, that's our first point. Let's talk about the second point, which is the regulation of hormones and neurotransmitters. Those are the chemicals in our brain, or our hormones that are made at our thyroid. Hormones are made by our adrenal glands, even by our liver, which produces cholesterol. And we look at the way toxins and hormones are floating through our body. We don't think about it. The body is self-regulating, and it's utilizing and excreting toxins. And at the same time, it's going to impact the third point, which is our immune system. And our immune system keeps us healthy. Those fighting T cells and our white blood cells are constantly fighting off invaders. Again, we're not thinking about it. It's built into the very design of human anatomy. These 40 trillion cells, all amazing in its differentiation, the way each one of them thinks by themselves, and they have a specific role, and the intricacies that man hasn't been able to duplicate one cell, not even close to duplicating just one cell inside the body. So we got the toxins, we got the hormones, we got the immune system, and the body's going through, particularly when he gets sick, it goes through inflammatory responses, which one of my later shows, I'm going to spend the entire show or shows just dedicated to inflammation. Time magazine in 2004 did an entire edition just on inflammation, and how inflammation inside the body at a cellular level, which has been produced by man's food and man's lifestyle, that food is creating an inflammatory reaction at a cellular level that all diseases pretty much start off in an inflammatic state. So the process, the simple design process, would be to create an anti-inflammatory state. And we're going to talk through that in some of the latest shows on anti-inflammatory nutrition, which is just important stuff for all of us to understand and to implement in our lives. Okay, so those are the first 4 points. We've got toxins, we've got hormones, we have an immune system, and we have inflammatory responses. The next one up is the digestion and the absorption of nutrients. You know, if you think about it, and we're all going to think about this, we put food in this hole under our nose, and it's got to travel down this tube. It goes down the esophagus, goes into the stomach. It goes through 27 feet or so of small intestine and about 10 or 12 feet of large intestine. So you think about that garden hose that all of that protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamin, minerals, and water have to travel through. Now, the digestion of those nutrients and the absorption and assimilation of those nutrients depends upon the health of the digestive system. As a clinical nutritionist, I can tell you that most nutritionists will start in the gut, meaning that the way that food is being assimilated and digested is at the very core of most chronic illness. So when we talk about digestion, absorption of nutrients, it's very important that that couples with the first point, which is toxicity, because they go hand in hand. Moving on, I think we're on point number 5 or 6, which is structural integrity. What structural integrity means, that's pretty much our neuromusculoskeletal system. Now, our nervous system tells everything in the body what to do. So you have the brain and you got the spinal cord, and it's sending out signals telling everything what to do and what not to do. And the structural integrity of our musculoskeletal system gives us form and rigidity and power and speed. Most of the time, and particularly in corporate America, you have people sitting behind desks for a long period of time, and the joke, nobody ever has walked into my office with front pain. I've had hundreds of people come in with back pain, but nobody has front pain. Well, why is that? Well, we walk on 2 feet, and walking around, the muscles in the back of the neck, the top of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades and the lower back are the ones that are keeping us erect. And they're the ones that we beat up all day, whether sitting behind a computer too long, lack of exercise, poor habits if we're more of a blue-collar worker, and those muscles get beat up. So our structural integrity leads heavily to fatigue and exhaustion. Next one up is psychological equilibrium and spiritual equilibrium, which is key to us because we all know that being connected with God and having a good spiritual life, every study has shown, is key to reducing the stress hormones in our body. The way we pray, getting into prayer, and having a good, healthy spiritual life with the Lord is at first and foremost. All these other systems are secondary to that. So that's obviously the most critical one. And finally, under the functional medicine slide is how do we produce energy? I know it sounds basic and simple, but we have to talk about fatigue. I don't know if most people know this, but when you go to a doctor and you check off all the things that are wrong with you on the little intake sheet, fatigue is the #1 thing written down every year in our country, yet doctors tend to know very little about it or tend to do anything about it. So fatigue, and I do an entire 1-hour program through my Wellness at Work program in corporate America. It's the most requested 1-hour lunch and learn that I get. I probably have done that program well over 100 to 150 times in my career, because corporate people realize that if you've got a fatigued workforce and you have presenteeism, I speak to HR directors all throughout New Jersey. I've spoken at the Garden State Human Resource Association as well as other HR groups. Presenteeism basically means people are physically at their desk, but because of the medication that they're taking, the breakdown of hormonal systems, them being sick frequently through breakdown of immune function, being inflamed through their inflammatory responses, being toxic due to the toxicity, not absorbing their nutrients, having structural non-integrity, and having pain in the back of the neck, pain in the neck, pain down the leg, not having a spiritual equilibrium because of all that pain going on and not feeling good. It's kind of tough connecting with the Lord sometimes, and just not producing energy. So that's a whole mouthful of how just producing energy from a corporate perspective produces or has people less energetic, less focused. Presenteeism and absenteeism are on a rise. And by the year 2020, the World Health Organization estimates that depression will be the 2nd leading cause of lost quality years worldwide. Worldwide, we're looking at a pandemic epidemic of depression. A lot of it stems from inside of us, our anatomy and physiology of how we're processing. Here we go, back to the triad, back to design. Stay with me, back to the triad, back to design, physical, nutritional, and psychological. And in looking at the physical, nutritional, and psychological, the root causes fueling the epidemics in our country and understanding functional medicine and those 8 or 9 things that I just went through, the industrialization of our food supply, getting away from those farmers who actually live the right way, we got away from that, and the damaging effects of toxins in our home, in our supermarkets, and in our kitchens. We really need to move away from this because 50% of Americans are dying of heart disease. About 1/3 of us are dying from cancer. And when you look at heart disease and cancer, type 2 diabetes, obesity epidemics amongst not only adults but also children, these 8 or 9 points I brought up today are the very things that we have to connect the dots to in order to feel better, function better, and live as many quality years as possible. That is God's design for us. We've got this amazing body, we've got this amazing human physiology, histology, biochemistry, pathophysiology, all of these big words that we go to school to learn for many, many years. And mixed together in this human physiology, it's up to us to take back our health. It's up to us to make better decisions. It's up to us to make the decisions as to the quality of the protein, carbohydrates, and fats, vitamins, minerals, and water we're going to consume. It's up to us to make the right choices and the right exercise program that's right for the age group that we're in, with the limitations or lack of limitations you may have. And it's also up to us to control the stress that's in our lives. So, with today's program, you've been listening to By Design. Again, that's the name of the program. And feel free to check that out at tandemradio.com. My website is proodianhealthcare.com, which is PROODIAN healthcare.com. And if you have any questions, please submit them to Proodian Healthcare. And like I said, I'll be doing a show with some Q&A, and I look forward to reading your questions. God bless, and I will talk to you guys soon. Be well.
You've been listening to By Design with Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare. To learn more, visit us at tandemradio.com, that's tandemradio.com, or on Facebook. And don't forget to email us with your questions. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, hope you have a healthy week, and we look forward to you joining us next time for more fantastic insights from Dr. James Proodian on By Design, a special production of Tandem Radio.